Hey YouTube, we're going to get right into it today. If you've been paying attention to the release of Call of Duty Vanguard this week, you've probably noticed some of the bigger content creators talking about Bloom and its addition to the Call of Duty universe. I'm sure there are many of you with strong opinions on a Bloom mechanic being added to Call of Duty, and I promise we'll get to that. If you're scratching your head wondering what is Bloom, it is essentially the distribution of where your bullets land when your weapon is fired. All first-person shooters technically have Bloom. One type being random spray patterns, and the second type being consistent spray patterns. Popular games like CSGO feature consistent spray patterns, meaning emptying your magazine into a wall results in the same pattern time and time again, which is how Call of Duty, while obviously not as drastic, has always played until now. To illustrate, we went into a private match on Numa and emptied rounds into the side of this truck to give you an idea. We didn't get super technical with it, but you can see pretty clearly we get two very different sets of bullet holes after emptying our magazine twice into the side of this truck. We tried to keep our initial target pretty consistent, but we didn't go to great lengths like switching up our keybinds for aiming and firing off of our mouse because after its discovery, this was generally accepted as a known mechanic in the game. This is a stark change from the way other Call of Duties play, and certainly people are adverse to change. I think the two loudest complaints about an objectively RNG-based mechanic being added to Call of Duty after all these years is that it either A, makes the game less competitive / takes the skill element out of the game, or B, that when it's noticeable for the user or when people actively change the way the game is played because of it, the game is less enjoyable. I think the biggest counterpoint to COD being less competitive or dumbing down the skill element is competitive Fortnite, a popular shooter with a heavy bloom. If the bloom element to shooting threw a complete wrench into the competition, it would stand that we wouldn't see the same teams be consistent year in and year out. Now, there are obviously other mechanics that make a professional Fortnite player quote-unquote good, and the players themselves have developed techniques to minimize the bloom that they see, which is where I think point B becomes a decent complaint. If Vanguard ushers in a new era of COD where gameplay loses the same feel of old CODs because players are changing their playstyles to minimize bloom, then potentially this was a bad move. It's too early to tell what direction this is going to take things. I also want to point out that the reason we used the STG blueprint in Vanguard to illustrate bloom was that we could go test the same blueprint in Warzone to see if there was any bloom on the weapon in Warzone. For this test, we did remap our weapon firing and aiming to the keyboard to make sure our mouse hand was not influencing the shot's direction. As you can see, the patterns are pretty consistent throughout with minor changes, but a mostly vertical recoil pattern like the many you've come to expect playing Warzone this past year and a half. And I don't believe we will see any major changes in that aspect when the new map releases. We don't know why Sledgehammer Games and Activision chose to make this change now. It's entirely possible bloom was added to lower the skill gap, or because they thought World War II weapons shouldn't be completely accurate, or that the change meant the accuracy stat guns receive would have a more real effect, as adding weapon attachments to boost accuracy in Vanguard has actually been shown to lower the bloom effect. Regardless, let us know how you feel about this change in the comments section, throw us a like, drop us a sub. Thanks for watching.